And good evening, everyone, and welcome to BNL Live Coaches Show edition. My name is Aaron Harrell, here with Coach Hine and Coach Kori Johnston. Coach, thanks for taking the time. Coach, thanks for taking the time tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's our first one, so we're kind of just going with the flow here. But, Coach, why don't we start off with you? How's the season going?
Yeah, they're off to a great start. We've put in a lot of work through the summer, so they're really seeing the benefit of it now.
Good.
Yeah, one thing I noticed this summer, the difference between, of course, us coaching the boys golf team and you coaching the girls golf team, it's hard to get out there and have a league in the wintertime because you get snow on the ground or whatever. It's really cold, but you were able to get out there on Monday nights and get the girls out in competitive nature, and I think Peggy Taylor helped you quite a bit with that, didn't she?
Yes, Peggy does a lot for our junior program, and that really helps feeding into the high school. But yeah, we had that league night on Monday nights, and then my girls would meet up on Thursdays, and they do a really good job of practicing on their own too, so they do a good job of it.
Yeah, that's one thing I notice is the team really gets along really well. I know we've got a couple of them sitting over here watching the show, but every time I'm out at the golf course, which haven't been very much this year, but they're always together, and that's got to make you very happy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was talking about that earlier, that I really like that kind of family team atmosphere. And, they do a good job of rooting each other on, but then they can also put each other in their place when they need it. And they give that constructive criticism and help each other out. So it's definitely what I like to see.
Yeah, like you said, they put the time in. There's no doubt. They were out there quite a bit in the spring when the boys were out there, hit balls and playing, and I think going back to that league that you had, I really like that match play championship you have. That's pretty cool to do that with the girls because in season everything's stroke play, so it's something a little bit different, and I think they enjoyed that quite a bit. I guess another question I've got for you: what's the difference between now you're in your second season as the girls golf coach at BNL versus the first season? What have you learned from the first year, and what's made it easier, I guess, this year for you?
So I was pretty nervous, not going to lie, taking over. I had big shoes to fill. Aaron Sanders did a great job with the team, and I just had a little bit of pressure that I put on myself to continue that. And now that I have a year under my belt, I've kind of learned how high school golf works again because it had been a minute since I've played in it. But I'm comfortable with the girls now, and I think they're comfortable with me, and I've learned what they need from me on the golf course, and I think it's really showing this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's really showing, obviously, in the rankings, because obviously you guys have won a tournament at Washington. You finished second at Otter Creek, which is a very tough golf course. But now the girls are ranked 18th, and I think that's just a testament to their hard work.
Yeah, 100%. I know those rankings have a lot to do with they're just voted on, so it's still nice to get that kind of nod to their hard work, and it's kind of a little feather in their cap to say that they made the ranking. So. Yeah,
it's always good to see that hard work pays off, and it honestly, for coaches, it doesn't really mean anything. You still got to go put in the work. You still got to go hit every shot and try to make it in the fewest strokes possible.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, the one thing I noticed in going back and coaching golf last year for the first time in a long time was you can be on the course with the kids again, or now, where before you could only do it in practice, but now you can go out with the kids in a match and help them. And we even went to the two-coach rule. I'm sure you saw that email today.
I saw that today.
So you can have two coaches out there working with your kids during the match and telling them what.
I did not see that.
Yeah, it's a new rule. And so, what do you do? Does it depend on the kid? Because sometimes I stay with one kid for a while, and I think I'm helping him, and then, I'm going to stay with him a little bit longer, and then if I feel like, it's time to move on, because there's a dynamic there. You want to help, but you don't want to overhelp because you want them to go play the game too. So what have you learned in that capacity in the 2 years that you've done this?
So I think, to your point, there's some that I don't want to say need me there more, but could benefit from a little bit of advice, just slowing them down for a second, telling them their options. And then I've got some that maybe are a little more experienced, like Chloe McFadden. She doesn't necessarily need me in her back pocket, but so I'll come up, and half the time when I talk to her, we're not talking about golf. It's just something to keep her distracted, keep her happy, keep her spirits up, and keep her playing good golf.
Yeah, it's sports psychology right there.
That's exactly right. And bringing up Chloe, we talked a little bit earlier that you've got a top five that's that's pretty good. You know, and it starts off with Chloe, and then I think it goes to Ellie, Kinley, and Nora. So and Nora's your only senior this year. Is that correct?
She's my lone senior.
Yeah. So talk about the girls and the team dynamic this year.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they're kind of like a big family. They all get along. It's great because they'll go play with each other out on their own, or after practice, we may just play the front nine. They'll turn around and go play the back nine together. So they're really putting in that work together. Chloe, talking about, you know, a lot of preseason work, she has lived at the golf course. And same with Ellie. She's put in a ton of work through the summer, and they're both seeing that pay off, and they're finally getting down into the 30s on 9 holes and 70s on 18, and that's what they expect out of themselves now.
Yeah, and you didn't mention Kinley Root. Kinley Root's a good freshman player, and she's
Very
out there
good
quite a bit
freshman.
as well, and she's dedicated a lot of time. But how many girls do you have total on the team at this point?
I have 11.
11. So that makes it competitive, and competition always brings out the best in everybody. So right now, I know feel like you probably have 4 pretty solids, and then the 5th spot's kind of up for grabs day to day sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We've got that probably 5 through 7 or 8. They all kind of compete back and forth, and that's something that I like. You know, I don't want just a solid 5. You know, it's nice to have 5 players, but I'd like to have 8, 9, 10, 11 players that can all sub in and out. And I know, like, even our lineup within the top 5 has shifted basically every match, because I try to go straight off of scores as much as I can, and that's the fairest way I can see to do it.
Yeah, and that's what you did too.
Exactly what I did. And it makes it competitive in practice, because now you go out there, and I didn't do qualifiers. I just did averages a lot of times. But, you know, it's nice. I coached cross country at one time too. I mentioned that before. It's so much easier because, okay, can you beat this kid in practice? Can you beat him in a meet?
Right.
Well, then you get to play. We're, team sports, like we're getting ready to talk to Coach Barker here in a second, or myself in basketball. It's a little bit more subjective, I guess, than it is in golf. So the objectivity as far as, which kid plays and everything, it's hard to complain when you look at scores and all that. But sometimes, it depends on the golf course too. You have to, hey, this kid's going to fit this golf course better than this kid. So, whether it be in the sectional at home or, when you go to the regional again at Washington, who plays well at each and every course. And that's a benefit as well.
Yeah, there's something to say to experience too on the course. I mean, if they have never seen the course, they might be a little shook up. Haven't played in, some of those bigger matches, they may get a little more nervous. So that's definitely something to keep in mind.
And the big thing is looking at your top 4 here, they're all going to be back next year. So
and that's great. Yeah, and I think next year you'll have 2 seniors that's in the top 5 now.
Yep, I'll have 2 seniors, Chloe and Kinley.
Yep, which is great, but definitely want to take this time to thank Pub 15. As you can see, it's a packed house here at Pub 15, so definitely want to thank them. Ate here before that, and it was great food. So want to recommend Pub 15 to everyone. Come on out, get some food, and we'll look at doing that some more, depending on how well tonight goes. But you never know. But talk about what the girls have done well this year. I know we're golfers, so some of those people out there.
Some are better than others.
How many city champ are you?
3.
3, yeah. But talk about what they're doing well and maybe what they need to do, step up a little bit. As one thing I noticed over the years is the girls' golf season is really short.
Yes.
So talk about that.
Yeah, so one thing they do well, and one thing that, we really focus on at practice is short game. So anybody can hit great shots, anybody can hit the big drives, but if you can't hit the green and regs, and if you can't get up and down and save yourself, or you can't hit punch shots, you can't hit sand shots, you're not going to play well. So that's one thing we focus on a lot, is practicing those shots that people get scared of on the golf course. So, I mean, they probably hate those practices when I just make them hit out of the bunker for half an hour, or we go play in the trees and hit punch shots for half an hour. But those are the ones that are the most beneficial out on the golf course. And then the other thing we focus a lot on is the mental game. I've seen so many players through high school and even college golf that just let one bad shot or one bad hole just completely tank their round. And so that's one thing I've been really trying to teach them, is to just keep a level head. We have a saying, on our team, good thoughts, good shots. And that's one thing that I really preach to them, that, if you don't step up and believe that that's going to be a good shot, no one's going to. So that's probably the main thing, honestly, is that mental game.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot in boys golf, don't we? The short game,
do.
it's so important. but the kids just want to go to that driving range and see how far they can hit it a lot, especially the boys. I don't know about the girls, but definitely
they
the boys.
still do.
Yeah, with the boys
So,
they do.
yeah, it's not about that. It's about getting in the fairway, getting it on the green, and then
Exactly.
getting it in the hole, hopefully
Yeah.
with one putt.
That's
But
why I tell them you don't get bonus points for how pretty it is.
no.
You just got to get it up and down.
You know, the other thing I've got here, you know, you've got 2 big matches coming up. You've got a 9-hole match tomorrow night. You've got a couple 9-hole matches, I believe, next week. But you got 2 big matches coming up, your conference match and then the sectional. And both of them are at home this year.
Yep.
So that's a big advantage. Does the conference match rotate from course to course, or does it always notice?
It does. Every year they remove, I believe it's alphabetical through all the teams, yeah. So
like
we
boys.
just made it back to the top for Bedford.
Yeah, we hosted last year. That was,
Right.
that was
And
great.
I think it's
We were
the
able to
boys and
win.
girls
I think
host that same
Yeah.
years. So
and it's a big advantage. No question
Oh,
about
yeah,
that.
for
We
sure.
didn't play real well and still won, I thought. So it's you know, huge advantage for the conference to be at home, and then obviously the section will be at home. And Aaron's got something here. He doesn't want to jinx it, but what is it, 11 in a row? Is that right? 10 in a
they're
row?
going for 11.
Going for 11 in a row.
Yeah, that's right.
Not to put any pressure on, but
Yeah. But you know, I wrote down, main thing is advance out of sectional.
Right.
You know, always the goal is to win it, but the main thing is to advance.
Exactly.
And the top 3 get out. So talk about the upcoming. I know we got a 9-hole match tomorrow, a couple 9-hole matches, and then September 10th is the Hoosier Hills Conference at Otis Park.
Yeah, so we are actually at home for the remainder of the season. We have a makeup match in Springs Valley that they might push us to early September, I think. But other than that, we are home until regionals.
Springs Valley, would that be at the Ross
at the
course?
Valley course.
The Valley course.
Yeah. We had a rain out, so they might try to reschedule it. But so that's a big advantage. We'll get a lot of practice on it before conference comes around. And then, like you said, it's a huge advantage to have that at our home course. Otis can be kind of a unique beast sometimes. So if you're not used to walking those hills, you're not used to never seeing a flat lie,
Right,
and the
right.
greens are relatively small, you know, it's definitely an advantage to have that home course.
And we've got the assistant superintendent sitting right over here. It's his 50th birthday, so definitely want to say happy birthday
Happy
to
birthday.
Mr. Sexton over there. But yeah, sorry to interrupt you. No.
No, you're fine.
No, and then the next thing is, I guess, you know, our regional last year was at Champions Point.
Right.
I think from what we're hearing, it's going to be at Washington, where your regional is next year. Not sure that for sure on the boys' side, but on the girls' side, you've already played Washington. You played well at Washington at Country Oaks. How many more times will you go there or have the girls go there and play between now and the regional? Because, you know, I think the key is, you know, obviously being able to get out sectional, but finding a way to play your best on that last, you know, that Saturday of the regional so you can get yourself to the state finals.
Yeah, so we will probably go play a practice round right before the regional just to kind of make sure we've got all of our tee shots under control, know what we want to hit, know our placement shots, and just kind of settle in on it again. Get another look right before we go. That'll probably be like a few days before the regional.
Okay.
Great. Any final thoughts? I think you've answered all my questions.
Mine too.
Again, I don't want to jinx you. If anybody at home's watching has a question, feel free to type it in the comments. That's why I keep looking at my computer. But yeah, any final thoughts as you get ready to close out the season? I know it's Coach Barker's had one game, and you're getting ready to close out your season.
That's right. Yeah, we go pretty quick, but good luck with your season. But I think that's it. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it, and I think this is going to be a good show.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good, but we're going to take a short break here. We'll be back with Coach Barker. I definitely want to thank Pub 15, and yeah, that's about it. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Acquired by Damon Bailey and Randy Hawkins in 2011, Resource Services is your one-stop shop for anything from janitorial to food service supplies. Resource Services specializes in K-12 education. We are the preferred vendor for the Indiana-approved shopping cooperative. We offer name brands with competitive pricing. Our staff is trained to help solve your issues and help save you money. We are located in Bedford, Indiana, and service the entire state of Indiana, Kentucky, Southern Illinois, and parts of Tennessee. Give us a call today at 812-275-4790.
And welcome back to Pub 15 for the B&L Live Coaches Show. Again, want to thank everybody for tuning in out there, wherever you're watching from. Want to welcome in head football coach, Coach Barker. Coach, thanks for taking the time tonight on this Wednesday night here.
Absolutely, yeah. I appreciate you guys having me. This is awesome. This is a cool little setup we got here. Appreciate Pub 15 for having us, and this is cool. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time here. Going to talk some football. I know last week did not go as planned. Lost that one 28-14. Had a great fourth quarter. See you, girls. But talk about last week and how that went, and then we'll forget about that.
Sure. We lost a tough one. It was a game we felt good about going in. We had a good week of practice, a good kind of whole off season ready. Had some excitement, some momentum building, but we played a really good football team that played a good game, and we fell a little bit short. Some things that we definitely need to clean up going forward, but we got together Saturday and watched the film with some of the kids, and we saw a lot of really good things on the film, a lot of good things that we didn't see last year. A lot of little coaching points that we talk about and kind of high-level stuff. So, when we clean up some things, we do a little better job of, protecting for the offense, getting the ball moving, a little better job defensively and not giving up some big plays here or there, making some stops on third down. A lot of things we felt good about, and I think we can build on going forward.
The nice thing about that game, I know it wasn't a win, but as a team, you could very well see again in the sectional.
Absolutely.
Now with the reclassification, that's going to 4A and then them being in there. So, the key is trying to find a way, obviously, to get better throughout the year. So if you do see them again, you've improved on those things. So, one thing was probably red zone. I think we all know that. Being able to punch it in. And anytime that field shortens, it kind of limits your options there. But we had, some opportunities there to stay in a game. If we can punch one in there, we're sitting in a lot better shape in the second half. So anything there that you see that maybe we can do, in the future this week when we get in that position again?
Yeah, and, that's something, I talked about it after the game Friday, that we've worked on a lot. But like you said, when you get that condensed space, there's not as much space to work in. Obviously, there's not as much room. It really comes down to just winning the one-on-one matchups, whether that's the one-on-one on the offensive line, receiver, defensive back one-on-one. And a lot of times it comes down to, can you make one missed tackle? Can you break a tackle? Can you fall forward for a few extra yards? So, like you said, it's something we've definitely worked on. We've thrown some kind of new things in to kind of help ourselves out down in the red zone like that. But, hopefully we get back down there again. And obviously, hopefully we move the ball and have some better success if we get there this week.
Yeah, that's great. One thing I saw, Loudon had a pretty good game. Leading rusher, rushed 12 times for 68 yards. I know most of that was on one play, on the scoring play there in the fourth quarter. But your other rushers carried it 15 times for 28 yards. Memphis threw for 190 yards. And then, but he got it to 6. They always want to see that.
Absolutely, and that's our goal. We don't want to be locked in on any one person. We want it to be spread out. We feel like the strength of our team is we have, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys that can carry the ball, catch the ball, make plays with it. So that's really, kind of the job expectation we have for Memphis is to find the open guy. Maybe not find, a certain guy every time, or if somebody's, got a hot hand or a matchup we like, we might take advantage of that. But we really feel like we got a lot of guys that can catch the ball, that can get open, that can run the ball. I felt like he did a good job of that Friday, especially considering that we didn't do a very good job up front. I coached the offensive line, so I take a lot of the blame for that. But he wasn't real comfortable all night and was kind of, running around just to buy himself some time. So, thought he did a good job, all things considered. And, we had some moments, when we did give him time, we were able to find guys open. Like, Colton Leach had a touchdown. Dylan Nykirk had some nice plays. Riker, Trace Reinders, I think, had a couple good carries for us. So like I said, there's a lot of guys that, if we can just get the ball out in their hand, whether it's running inside, running off tackle, or outside in space, we feel pretty good about them, going to work.
Yeah, and sorry, Coach, to butt in here, but one thing that I like is with Memphis that can throw the ball so well is you're kind of using the passing game as a running game.
Exactly.
You're getting it out in the flats a little bit and letting the playmakers make the plays.
Right, yeah, and that's something we talked about, Coach Bo Miller and I, who is our offensive coordinator, we talked about, the field's 52 yards wide, we got to make them defend every inch of it, horizontally, just the same as we do vertically. So, it might be a pass, but, at the end of the day, kind of that West Coast philosophy of, it's a long handoff. We're just handing the ball off essentially outside, whether it's outside the hash or out on the numbers. And like I said, we feel like that's our strong point, just getting the ball out to some of our quick guys and letting them be athletes.
Right.
Okay, changing gears a little bit here. You've got, I think, 20 seniors this year. I think that's the most probably B&L's had on the team in a while, isn't it?
It is, yeah, for at least, I know probably going back maybe 4 years ago. It's a big group. I would say it's a big group, and they're a good group. And to be honest, I think a big reason for it is it's the first group that kind of got to go through the consolidated middle school program. They got to play a year together in middle school, and they've really developed a tight bond, and they've stuck with football, all the way up to their senior year now.
Yeah, that's great. It's just like the girls golf team. As we talked to Coach Johnston earlier, it's always great to have that camaraderie with the team.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always something. That's something I had on my teams, whether it was football. I think we had 11 or 15 seniors that played together from pretty much middle school on.
Absolutely. That's something we talk a lot about. I tell them, really stressed it this offseason and this summer going in, we want to be champions. We want to win championships. But you're going to remember the process of getting there. You're going to remember that journey. You're going to remember the practices, the pregame feeling, the postgame feelings with your teammates, those guys you're close to, more than you're going to remember, maybe that game that you win a conference championship or a sectional championship, So just having that camaraderie of, enjoying, spending time together. Football's a hard game. We're out there for an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours a night in practice. It's hot. It's difficult. You gotta love each other, and you gotta be out there, having fun with each other, and being willing to suffer a little bit for the guy next to you.
That's right.
Coaching staff, when it comes to that, obviously I'm a basketball coach, so five X's and O's at a time is enough for me. I can't handle the 11. So you have to be able to delegate and trust your assistants. Not that you don't basketball, you do too, but you have more assistant coaches. So I know you have some returning guys, but also some new additions. Can you mention a couple of those guys?
Yeah, so right now we're at a total of 8 coaches, which is maybe a little bit lower than, some of the programs our size, but I feel like we've got a really good staff. I feel like we all kind of gel together and work off each other well. We've had 2 new coaches come on board this year. Drew Kinser, who's a B&L graduate. Actually, ironically enough, coached for a couple years at Bloomington North, who is our opponent this week. And then Jacob Lefree is the other one that came on board this year. He is not from Bedford, but he played college football at the University of Indianapolis and then actually played for a year at Temple out in Philadelphia. So I thought it was really cool to be able to bring him in and kind of get an outside set of eyes. A lot of us, we had been together for, 7, 8, 9. Some of them have been here even 10 years or longer. So to get a couple outside set of eyes to come in and say, well, what you're doing is good, but, maybe, with the way we did it at Indianapolis or Bloomington North or Temple or wherever, just kind of those outside set of eyes. And, the returning guys we've got, they've all, they've had that year last year to kind of see what I expect, how we want to run practice. I told them today, actually, we kind of had the talk again with the players that, everything's got to be fast-paced. My biggest pet peeve is wasted time. So those guys do a great job of being prepared when practice starts, coaching their drills. I told them at the beginning of the year I wanted them to to take pride in their performance to where they felt like they were the best at their job in the conference. I wanted teams to say, obviously we got the best football team, but I wanted teams to say we've got the best corners coach, the best running backs coach, the best special teams coach, in the conference. I wanted that to stand out, and they do a great job of taking pride in that and really owning their job, and they're a huge help to me. There's no way I could do it all on my own, so it's awesome to have.
What is Drew and Jacob's what's their specialties?
So Drew coaches running backs for us on offense, and then he coaches our middle safety position. We call it the Viper. It's kind of our hybrid safety linebacker, kind of jack of all trades positions. And then Jacob, so he was a punter in college, and then he played about every position, I think, in high school and early on in college. So he helps out with our special teams. Him and Coach Kendall Reed do a great job of really taking our special teams. They've completely taken it off my hands to where I don't have to worry about it. They take care of everything from game planning each opponent's special teams, scout teams, stuff like that. And then Jacob also, he helps me with the linebackers on defense, and then he coaches our inside slot receivers on offense. Does a good job there as well.
I mean, step on your toes here, but
you're fine.
I noticed you have a different kicker this year. You've got a kid off the soccer team that has been able to put it in the end zone about every time, hasn't he?
That was actually my next comment. The kicking game is.
Yeah, I think he was
impressive.
2 for 2 maybe on the ball. We had the onside kick, but we brought Riker in for it just because he was a little more comfortable with it. But yeah, Billy Klein actually kind of lucked out one day. I went out on the field for a spring practice, I think, and he was out kicking, and I mean, he's incredible. He kicks the crap out of the ball, and I told him when I first met him that, if he could come out and just kick off and put the ball in the end zone, that he would be the MVP of our defense. Because, in high school football, when the ball goes in the end zone, you can't return it.
Yeah.
So, like I told him, they could have Devin Hester back there, and if he puts the ball in the end zone, we don't have to tackle him, we don't have to cover. So it's a huge weapon for us, and he does a great job on field goals and extra points as well. So it's definitely a weapon. When we get inside opponent territory, inside the 30, maybe 35-yard line, we feel like we got a shot. At an end-of-game situation or an end-of-half, if we need a long field goal, he's got a strong leg.
It also takes the pressure off Riker and Rule, who've been doing the kicking before, and that gives them a little more rest time, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Both of those guys are really key players for us on offense, defense, and other special teams. So when they don't have to sweat out, a kickoff or a 25-yard field goal type of thing. It's nice, and they have extra practice time now that they can use towards sharpening those other skills. Riker's still been punting for us. He does a phenomenal job punting. And it's nice to kind of have a bigger, faster, stronger athlete back there, just in case anything happens with the snap or the blocking kind of gives in or something. So it's been cool to have Billy, and we appreciate the soccer team. We don't use him a whole lot in our practices. I told him he needs to go to soccer first, so I think they get done about 5:30 every night, and he comes over and practices with us for about 20 or 30 minutes when he can, and it's really been great.
Yeah, that's great, and obviously if you tell him to put it in the end zone, he doesn't have to hit anybody or he's not going to get hit.
Right, yeah, exactly. That's something, we've worked on him with too. Which I will say, he's not your typical kid that you would expect to be afraid of it. He wants to go down there and hit people, but
well, good for him.
It's good. Yeah, it's good when he can put it in the end zone and we can just make the offense go 80 yards and he's not having to make a tackle or anything.
Yeah, back when I played, Coach Callahan was the coach, and he recruited a soccer player to come over and kick for us. Yeah, and then turned him into a football player. Okay. So he just quit soccer and started to.
Well, I bet the soccer coach liked that.
Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah, he was not happy about that. But Coach, let's move on to Friday night.
Sure.
Got a big game. Unless you want to talk about anything else, Coach.
No.
Yeah. Move on to Friday night. Play another one at home against Bloomington North. 7 p.m. kickoff. For those of you out there listening, come on out to Star Stadium. Bloomington North's coming off a 38-13 loss to a really good Mooresville team, as you said earlier.
Yeah, it's tough to judge them and discredit them any for that game. I think Mooresville's a top 3-4 ranked team in 4A. They're very good, and Bloomington North's very good as well. So I'm sure they're going to be maybe extra motivated coming off a loss, but definitely doesn't get any easier for us. We talked about we had a tough game last week, and we're right back in it this week with a dangerous Bloomington North team that I expect to come down ready to go and give us a tough game.
What style of player are they offensively? More of a running team, more of a passing team, mix it up, or what?
They're pretty balanced. They've got a really good running back. They've got Kori Mikulich, I think is how you say his name. I could be saying that wrong. But he's a senior that, unfortunately we've had to see for the last 3 years is a very, very tough runner. And then passing-wise, they had a amazing quarterback last year in Reese Lozano. So it's always tough to replace him. But it looks like they got a kid in there now that's kind of in that same mold. That can throw the ball and run a little bit, and they've got some definite playmakers outside. They've got the tight end that's a Division I recruit,
Steinfeld.
6'4". Yeah, Steinfeld. He's every bit of 6'4", 230. Big kid, can move, and they've got some speed and height on the outside on the perimeter as well. So they do a little bit of everything, and like I said, they're not gonna make it easy on us to keep them out of the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've watched a lot of film. Anything other than those players, anything stick out that they do extremely well, or something that I don't want to give away any? I'm sure not many people are watching, but,
Sure. Yeah, you never know. Yeah, like I said, they do a lot of things well. They do a good job of kind of moving their personnel around. So like the Steinfeld kid, for an example, you call him a tight end, but you'll see him split out wide. As a receiver, you'll see him kind of bunching up guys to where, there might be 2 or 3 of them in a tight, bunch position. So it's tough to kind of keep track of where they're all going. And, they do a good job. They run a lot of, kind of the wide zone blocking scheme, and they're good at that. And that allows their running back to, to kind of make the offensive line right. The offensive line does a good job of making it easy for him to read. And then, like I said, once he gets going, he's a handful. So they do a lot of things well offensively. Defensively, they've got a lot of playmakers returning, especially in like the secondary and the linebacker positions. So, I think they're gonna be tough to move the ball on. Kind of a different scheme than what we saw last week from Martinsville, but much the same way where I think they've got playmakers at all 3 levels.
You're starting to see around here a lot of spread, aren't you? I mean,
yeah.
As you go to this side of the state, of course, I've been on the western side of the state, Vincennes area, and that. The way they play there is a little different than the way we play over here, and the same thing happens in basketball, the way teams play. But do they run a lot of spread as well? Yeah,
they do. Like I said, they're kind of they might be like an 11 personnel team as a base where they got 1 running back tight end. But like I said, the tight end's not going to always be, standing next to the offensive line. He might be there. They'll play him off the ball, kind of motion him around some. And then, like I said, they'll come out in some spread sets as well. And like I said, just kind of move their weapons around, and they're kind of unpredictable. You never really know where they're all going to be.
Yeah, and one thing that I noticed last week at the game was I think there were 2 snaps where the quarterbacks, and it wasn't the quarterback that took it under center. It's all shotgun now.
Yeah.
What's the philosophy about that for maybe those people at home watching and all that?
Sure. So for us, when we were running the triple option, we felt like it was actually quicker downhill running threat with the running back from what we call the pistol position, where he's right behind the quarterback in shotgun. Our shotgun, we're normally 4 yards, so we're not as deep as what you see in some of the college and NFL type games.
Right.
But it kind of eliminates the need for the quarterback's footwork. One of the things, if you watch draft prep type stuff for the NFL, they talk a lot about college quarterbacks having to learn the different footwork between taking a shotgun snap and taking an under center snap. It kind of eliminates some of that footwork that's required. And then, we like it too because we feel like it gives us a better kind of pre-snap look at the defense. He's kind of back there away from the line of scrimmage, can see a little bit more, and can communicate to the guys out on the perimeter a little easier.
Okay. Well, captains, who do you have as your captains this year? Is that going to change, or does that stay the same, or how do you do your captain situation?
So this year, I let the team vote on it. We had kind of our top 3 that were essentially like unanimous vote winners. Colin Whitaker, Greg Gilbert, and Memphis Loudon. Those were our top 3 guys. So they are kind of our locked-in captains. And then we had a few guys. We had another 3 that were kind of down a little bit underneath them. So right now what we're doing, we elect a 4th captain each week, kind of based off practice performance, just a way to reward guys for having a good week of practice, having the right effort, the right attitude. Last week it was Klein Woodward that was our elected captain, just because I felt like he had a great week. He's playing a lot of offense and defense for us, and provides a lot of leadership. and it's a good problem to have. I feel like we have 7 or 8 kids that I could name as captains, and it's one of the things I told them, this year too. Like you said, we got a big senior class. We've got a lot of juniors that are experienced. We can only send out 4 or 5 captains each week, but I really feel like anybody can be a leader, anybody can be a captain on the team, and I think that's important for us. So it's one of those things. Each week it could be a different kid, just because we have that many good kids that they practice hard, they have good leadership habits, and are good examples for the rest of the team.
That's great. Now, is that a coach's pick? Or
coaching staff.
A coaching staff.
Yeah.
Pick?
So.
Okay.
It's just kind of whoever stands out to us, and as well, kind of what I told like our 3 captains, Colin, Greg, and Memphis, was they're almost like an extension of the coaching staff. So I'll ask them too, like if anybody stood out throughout the week.
Yep, and then you mentioned Klein goes both ways a little bit. How many kids do you have that play offense and defense? I know you probably have some of those kids that offense play special teams and back forth.
Yeah.
But what's your philosophy there on playing offense and defense?
So right now, the way we've got it set up, I think we have 11 starters on offense, 11 starters on defense that are separate. I don't think we have any 2A starters. We have a few kids that will come in kind of rotationally. Okay. That like Klein, he's a starter on the offense, and then we'll kind of rotate him in at linebacker based on the situation defensively. Tyson Patterson's a kid that's a starter on defense and can kind of rotate in at the tight end position for us on offense. He's also like our backup quarterback, so he's a kid that could end up playing both ways. At the end of the day, we're going to play the best 11 kids, the ones that give us the best chance to win that week, and that's what I kind of talked to the kids coming in last year. We had our starting 11 on defense, and maybe 1 or 2 guys that subbed in. We really feel like this year we're a lot deeper, defensively especially. Based on maybe the type of game that we're going to see. I know like last week we played I think 7 different linebackers. We probably played 6 or 7 different defensive linemen and maybe 4 or 5 different kids in the secondary. So we've got some guys that we can rotate in there. And same thing offensively. We're kind of trying to push the tempo a little bit. So, one of the things Coach Bo and I talked to the offense about is we don't want to see receivers playing every single snap, because we want to play fast enough to where, we want to wear them out. We want them to get tired from running routes and blocking and all that stuff. So there'll be guys that you see rotate in that might be starters on defense, rotate in on offense, vice versa. But we like to have, especially with the big boys, especially with the linemen, we like it if we can keep them to where they're just one-way players and, not wearing them out for when the fourth quarter rolls around.
Okay, last question I have for you is the magic question. What do we have to do Friday night to win?
Well, we already talked about it. We got to put the ball in the end zone when we cross into, opponent territory. We got to be able to finish drives, put the ball in the end zone. Defensively, we got to win the 4-point plays. That's what, I talked to him about a lot. And that's third downs in the red zone, right? So when you get third down, if you can hold them to a field goal attempt, they get 3 points. If you can't, they get 7. So that 4-point play, that 4-point difference is big. And getting off the field on third down. You look last week, I think Martinsville scored 4 touchdowns. I think all 4 of them were on third down. There might have been 1 that wasn't, and that was one that they, I think, converted a 3rd and long like the play before. So, if we can get off the field on third down, finish drives in the end zone, and just take care of the football like we've been doing and play our style of ball, I think we'll give ourselves a good shot to be there in the end.
That's what I was going to mention. The turnovers have been cut down. Your center exchange to the quarterback's been a lot better this year at the beginning than it was last year.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think we only had 1 turnover the other night, and I don't know if we had any in Mitchell in the scrimmage game that I remember. So
yeah, I don't think the varsity had any, and unfortunately, we had the 1 turnover, our last play of offense, Friday night. But it was a loose play, where things kind of broke down and, trying to make a play. So,
but you'll take your chances. Yeah, you'll take your chances with 1 turnover a night, probably.
Absolutely. Yep.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for taking the time tonight. I know it's a time away from the family, but we appreciate it. Hopefully, everybody at home appreciate it. Hopefully, the people here at Pub 15. I don't know if any of them watched or not, but that's okay. Again, thank you so much for taking the time.
Absolutely.
Coach Hine, thank you for being here with me. And, any final thoughts, guys?
No, we'll see you Friday night. Good luck. And hopefully, like I said, it's a long season. 1 game does not make a season. So,
absolutely.
Starting out 0-1 doesn't mean anything.
That's right.
It's a matter of just getting better. And like I said at the very beginning with Martinsville, losing the first time, that may be a good thing in the long run, because if we just continue to grind and continue to work and continue to improve, our goal is going to be by week 10 or week 11 or week 12 when we see them again,
Absolutely.
that we've improved more than them. So
Yep.
I know you guys are out there working hard, and like I said, good luck Friday night.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Everybody, thanks for taking the time tonight. And again, we'll be live tomorrow night for B&L volleyball, and then again Friday night for B&L football. Tomorrow night we'll go live about 5:45. But again, everybody, thanks so much for taking the time. Definitely want to thank Pub 15 for their hospitality tonight, and hopefully everybody have a great evening. And we'll see you next time from B&L Live.
Yeah, thanks. Good job.
Yep.
Acquired by Damon Bailey and Randy Hawkins in 2011, Resource Services is your one-stop shop for anything from janitorial to food service supplies. Resource Services specializes in K-12 education. We are the preferred vendor for the Indiana-approved shopping cooperative. We offer name brands with competitive pricing. Our staff is trained to help solve your issues and help save you money. We are located in Bedford, Indiana, and service the entire state of Indiana, Kentucky, Southern Illinois, and parts of Tennessee. Give us a call today at 812-275-4790.